Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Hawks Desk. Kenny Hawk is along with Mackenzie Kane and also Murray Lee pushing the button for today's show. And it is officially football week around the country. I mean, it doesn't get any more exciting than this. I mean, obviously, ETSU will be at home on Saturday at 5:30. They'll be taking on Mercer State, the Racers. It's just scary. We're going to erase you. I mean, not playing. But anyway, for you Murray State alum, I'm playing. And then the Tennessee Volunteers, obviously, neutral site. They're going to be playing in Atlanta. They're taking on Syracuse, the Orange. Real quick, and we're going to come back to ETSU a little bit later. We're going to get Jimmy Hyams on here in just a second. But real quick, let's talk about ETSU today. Obviously, Will Healy had his press conference today. Seemed like kind of seemed like old hat to him. He just kind of a matter of fact. I'm just ready to get down to business.
Sure. And I liked it because you're the one who brought up the whole question about the quarterback battle going on. And he had a pretty firm answer of, you know what, he wants to be the new staple of what it means to play two quarterbacks.
Wow.
He said he has two starting quarterbacks on his roster right now, and that both of them are expecting touches. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out Saturday. But I think there's going to be a lot of momentum behind the Buccaneers this year.
And you heard me saying to him today as
Mhm.
well, Coach, there's an old saying. When you got two quarterbacks, you
You
have
have
no
none.
quarterback. And I even asked him, I said, so are you marching both of them out there at the very beginning of the game?
And
And he
he
kind of
didn't
said,
turn down the idea.
no, he did not, did he? I mean, it really? Could he start? No, he's not going
No,
to start.
I think there's definitely going to be a couple of trick plays in the book when it comes down to the wire where he has it mapped out where both of them are on field. Maybe they're flipping it back and forth one another, but I think we'll see it at
Man,
least once this season. I
wow.
think they're putting out both of them once this season.
Well, grocery shopping before I came into work real quick. Yeah, I'm a multitasker. Okay. I can do a press conference, I can go grocery shopping, and I can get in here to work, do a podcast. And a couple of the people, when I came out of the store, first thing they wanted to know, hey, why have you been talking about Tennessee playing ETSU? And I said, well, ETSU's not even talking about that right now because they have a game before that. Tennessee as well. I just talked about Syracuse and the Orange. Jimmy, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You sound great. Jimmy Hyams, the Knoxville personality, really the state personality. Okay, there's nobody knows more about UT sports, especially when it comes to football, than this guy right here. We've known each other forever. It is game week in Knoxville. The question was already answered a couple of weeks ago. We know it's going to be Joey Aguilar. Did it even surprise you that Coach Hype made that announcement so early?
Only slightly because it kind of goes against the grain of what he typically has done. I mean, if you go back to the Hendon Hooker Joe Milton battle 2021, he waited till the week of the game. He's done that before. I think most people expected it to be Aguilar, but I thought he would wait another week to announce it. I'm not surprised he picked Aguilar. I just thought he might wait a little bit longer.
You say you're not surprised. Let me ask you, Merklinger, McIntyre have been in the system longer. One of them is a
Yeah.
5-star. Did they not pick up this offense? I mean, they've been in it for at least a year now. You're telling me a guy that's been in it for 2 or 3 months picked it up quicker?
I'm not saying that, but there is a difference in your ability to pick it up versus the talent level of a player. And a lot of times the talent's going to win. And I think Tennessee saw that Aguilar had the talent that they need. I did ask Josh Heupel a while back, what do you like about him? And the first thing he said was he's accurate throwing the ball over the middle. Well, Tennessee did not feel comfortable with Joe Milton throwing the ball over
Yeah,
the middle, did they?
no.
And they didn't seem to feel all that comfortable with Nico Iamaleava throwing over the middle. So I think if they can reestablish throwing over the middle, that'll help this offense. He's also a big sturdy guy, unlike Nico. He's 6'3", he's 220. If it's 3rd and 4, he can get you 5 yards on his own read. So I think that those things and the way he has meshed and bonded with his teammates, he's been a good leader. I think all those things have contributed as to why Tennessee selected him. That doesn't mean he's picked up the offense and he's ahead of Merklinger in terms of understanding the offense. I
Yeah.
just think that he has right now got more talent, more ability, and more experience.
Jimmy, I'm curious. I mean, all of us are excited to see how Joey plays out on week one. But when that depth chart comes out, do you have any hunch about who might be right behind him?
But yeah, it's going to be Merklinger or McIntyre. it, in truth, it's Merklinger.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they'll list it that way, but knowing Heupel, he'll probably put an or in there. You'll see a whole lot of ors in their lineup. whether it's at uh, right guard or who knows, one of the cornerback spots could have an or. They do that a lot just to either confound the media or confound the opponent, one of the two. But I think it'll be Merklinger, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that or with McIntyre. But Merklinger clearly is the number 2 guy.
In terms of the experience of his receiving core, of his tight end core, how do you think they've played into Joey's acclimation into the system within the past couple of weeks of camp?
McKenzie, I'm concerned about that because they've had a number of receivers that have been injured during camp, whether they missed one day or a week, they've been out. Chris Browse was one of them. Mike Matthews missed some time. They've had others that have been out. And I was talking to a friend of mine who has access to practice, and this was a particular Tuesday. And I said, "What's your analysis?" He said, "The worst unit on the field were the wide receivers. The second worst unit was the offensive line." Now, the offensive line has made some progress since then. I'm not sure if the receivers have. But for Aguilar to be successful, he's got to have help from the receivers, right? They can't run around dropping passes. And like they did a year ago, they got to be in the right spot at the right time as well. That unit really concerns me. I think they have the talent because Matthews is a 5-star. He's a talented player. Brazel is a talented player, but he dropped too many passes. He caught 29 a year ago. I really like him at tight end with Miles Kitselman, who's one of the better tight ends in the league. Ethan Davis is a good pass catching tight end. They got a really good freshman tight end named Brom. So I think tight end is actually a much better position than the wide receiver group at Tennessee.
See, I think it's interesting that he says that too, because
Yeah,
Heupel's kind of known for saying young guys can't afford to be young. They don't have time to be young when it comes to this
I know.
system.
And
So
we don't throw it
especially
to
in
the
that,
tight end enough, I think, sometimes, to be honest with you. You
Yeah.
know, and there was something at the beginning of this year. I mean, we kept talking about the tight ends, and I kept going, that tells me the wide receivers have not been up to snuff because we've been talking about Miles Kitselman this entire offseason. Listen, you brought it up just a moment ago. You talked about the offensive line. Is Lance Hurd all we got? I mean, all the other people new?
Well, they've gotten Lance Hurd's gotten better. He's dropped about 25 pounds, and he played. He finally revealed a year ago that he was injured. I had a former Tennessee offensive lineman, Trey Teague, tell me early on. He said that guy's hurt. He's playing injured. He won't admit it, and that ended up being true. I think at the left guard position with Wendell Moy, he was an all-conference player at Arizona. He's a solid player. The center position's a little concerned. They got to replace Cooper Mays,
Yep.
and who I think, even though he wasn't drafted in the NFL, I thought he was a very good college center. It's going to be a couple of people that are fighting it out at that position, and that includes a Notre Dame transfer, Sam Pendleton. But Pendleton's also working at right guard. Jess Perry's at right guard. I think Perry's going to end up starting. And then you got a 5-star right tackle in David Sanders. I don't care how good you are as a freshman offensive lineman, you're going to struggle against the elite defensive linemen in this
Exactly.
league. So,
Exactly.
while I think Sanders is very talented, it's going to take him a while to get acclimated to deal with what he's going to face in the league. And oh, by the way, his first conference game is against Georgia. Ugh. So
Exactly.
I don't expect now. Tennessee ran for what was it 225 yards a game last year with Dylan Sampson. They won't average that. They may not average 200 yards a game rushing because I don't think the offensive line is going to be as good as it was a year ago. But Kenny, I do like the three-headed monster they have in the backfield. I think the threesome is going to be very productive with Deshaun Bishop, with Peyton Lewis, and with Star Thomas.
Threesome. Wow. Or Three's Company. You don't know that. Jimmy remembers that
how
show.
old
I
do you
know.
think I
I
am,
know you
Kenny?
don't remember Three's Company.
I remember Suzanne Summers.
That's
So
right.
what?
That's all I remember too. Yeah, you're right.
That's all you
You're
need to
right.
remember.
That's all you need to remember. Listen, I noticed you talked about the wide receivers. You didn't mention Boo. Are we
I
going to see him?
know.
I mean, which side of the ball? I mean, we're supposed to see him on both, but I noticed you didn't mention Boo.
I did not. I would play him some wide receiver. Now, we don't even know if he's going to play in the first game. He had his off the field issues, and as we all know, he missed some practices and missed some workouts. So that did not endear himself to the teammates and the coaching staff. He had to work his way first back onto the team and now back onto the field where he's actually practicing some. I would use him at wide receiver. Here's why, Kenny. You know that Tennessee likes to throw a lot of flanker screens, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who would be the most dynamic player with the ball under his hands in a flanker screen?
Boo.
It's Boo Carter. He led the SEC in punt returns. If you can lead the SEC in punt returns, then you can take a flanker screen and break a tackle or two and gain some yards. So I would use him in that regard. If a team cheats up, and they figure out, okay, they're throwing it, then hey, let him run a go route. But I would use him at wide receiver, in part because he's dynamic, and in part because I think this receiving core is not all that talented.
Yeah, Tennessee released just a couple of minutes ago, actually, the press conference with Heupel when they asked him about if they can expect Boo on Saturday. He said, "Yeah," but then he gave a little bit of a wishy-washy answer on whether or not he gave some, you always got to earn your spot. We always have to do what's best, prove
Mm.
yourself. But to open that with, yeah, no, I can anticipate that. It's going to be interesting, and it's definitely interesting at wide receiver. Jimmy, I'm curious though, what do you think is key for this Tennessee offense, or I mean, even this Tennessee defense, on how to prepare against Syracuse Orange coming off of a 10-3 season and the offense that they are going to put on field in Atlanta?
I think the biggest key for Tennessee to be better offensively, and let's make no mistake, their offense was pretty pedestrian last year. I don't care that they ranked 12th in the nation in scoring. What I care about is they only averaged 25 points a game in SEC play, and that ranked among the lower half of the league in scoring. So, how do you get better when you've lost your quarterback who transferred to UCLA? How do you get better when you lost your top three receivers and four offensive linemen? To me, there are two answers to that. One is you got to get back to being up tempo. If you are average at best, in my opinion, regarding SEC talent on offense, you better do something unique. And getting back to the up tempo would be that. Here's the other part of that: reclaim the middle of the field with your passing attack.
Mhm.
I think those are the two things that can help improve this offense. And by the way, I was just doing some research on Syracuse. I know they won 10 games last year, but when I look at what they return, gosh, I don't think they're very good. Phil Steele, who does a very good job with his magazine, picks them 12th out of 17 teams in the ACC. I don't know if they're that bad, but when I look at it, I was doing a position by position advantage, and I didn't expect this. I've got Tennessee with an advantage at every position.
Wow.
Every position.
Every position. Wow. Even media. Okay.
Even yeah.
Hey,
Even
let
with the
me.
rookie behind the mic and Mike
Exactly.
Keith.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. Let's quickly, before we let you go, let's jump to defense. This time last year, everybody was about to vote Tim Banks in as governor of the state. And then obviously we ran into some of the games at the end of the year, and then they got embarrassed against Ohio State. How is this defense different this year?
Well, it's going to be very good again. Now it's going to be different because they've lost a first round draft pick in Pierce and they lost a second round draft pick in Lott. But they played a 12-man rotation, and eight of those guys are back. Eight of them, they got eight players on the defensive line that I think you can win in the SEC. Very, very few teams can claim that. I think they're solid at linebacker with Arian Carter and with Jeremiah Telander. In the secondary, I am a little bit concerned about losing Jamad McCoy,
Mhm.
who was a terrific player as an All-American last year. But the other defensive backs have really stepped up. Ricky Gibson's had a good camp. Others have had a good camp. The secondary obviously is better when you have McCoy, but I think they're going to be efficient even without him. So I like this defense. I don't know if it can be better than it was a year ago when it ranked second in the league to Texas, but it's going to be in the top three or four. I'm very high on this defense.
Jimmy, I'm curious what your thoughts on the SEC moving to a 9-game conference schedule, how that's going to impact the Vols.
Mackenzie, I love it. I love that they go to the 9 games. It just means that you're covering one more meaningful game than you have been, and it cuts out some of the lesser teams that Tennessee's been playing. So I really like it. And Tennessee is playing at least one Power Four team over the next 5 years. So there are more good games to cover. That's I'm selfish about that. In the media, I want to cover good games like that. So now the league would not have gone to 9 if the College Football Playoff Committee had not said they were going to put more emphasis on strength of schedule, and they're not going to really penalize you if you go on the road and lose to the top ranked team in the country, you lose to the number 4 team in the country. If you're playing a tough schedule, they're going to reward you for that. Unlike a year ago when they, in my opinion, rewarded Indiana and SMU when they had very, very weak schedules. So I like going to 9 games. I think Tennessee's permanent opponents will be Vanderbilt and Alabama, and then either Kentucky or South Carolina. Now, some have said, well, what about Florida? Maybe Florida, but Florida may end up having to play Georgia and LSU. And if they do that, they certainly don't want Tennessee on the schedule. So I think it's going to be the third one will be either Kentucky or South Carolina. But I like McKenzie, I like it a lot. and I think it gives you more meaningful games during the course of the season.
As always, an expert. Man, I appreciate it. We need to get out there on the course, play whenever we get an opportunity. And obviously, I'll see you in Knoxville. Definitely the second game of the week when the ETSU Buccaneers are in town. Don't sleep on them Bucks now. Don't sleep on them Bucks, Jimmy.
Let me know that tea time, Kenny. I'm in.
Oh, trust me, Jimmy plays most golf than we do. So he know. Officially, Jimmy's supposed to be retired. This is the most unretired guy I've ever met in my life. Okay, he's always working. Jimmy, listen, I appreciate the time. Thanks, man.
Yeah, my wife gave me an F in retirement. So
Exactly. An incomplete.